Have you ever sat down with a warm, tasty bowl of instant noodles and wondered, how are these even made? I mean, they're ready in just a few minutes with some hot water, but the work behind them is way more interesting than you might think. Let's go on a journey. A journey that starts in a giant factory full of big machines, clever workers, and a process that turns flour into something millions of people eat every day. Believe it or not, over 100 billion packs of instant noodles are eaten around the world every single year. That's like 13 packs for every single person on Earth. But how did instant noodles even begin? Back in the 1950s, a man named Momofukuando lived in Japan. After World War II, he saw long lines of people waiting just to get a bowl of hot ramen. That gave him an idea. What if he could create a food that was cheap, easy to make, and could last a long time? Something that could help people during hard times. And that's how instant noodles were born. Now, let's talk about how they're actually made. Everything starts with one simple ingredient: wheat flour. This is what gives the noodles their structure. The flour is loaded into huge machines called mixers. These mixers don't just mix a bowl or two. They can handle tons of flour every single day. Water and a bit of salt are added to the flour. This mix turns into a thick dough, kind of like Play-Doh. But this dough isn't ready yet. It needs time to rest. That's right, even dough needs a nap. Resting makes the dough softer and easier to work with. It also helps the gluten inside the dough relax, which is super important for the next steps. After resting, the dough is sent through big rollers. Imagine a pasta machine, but much bigger. These rollers squash the dough into thinner and thinner sheets. So thin, they end up being thinner than a piece of paper. Rolling the dough also helps stretch it out and make it nice and bouncy, which gives noodles their chewy texture. Now that the dough is flat and ready, it's time to cut it into noodles. This part is really cool. Special machines use sharp blades to slice the dough into long strips. These strips can be thick, thin, curly, or straight. It all depends on what kind of instant noodle they're making. Ramen noodles, for example, are usually curly and thin, but other noodles, like the flat ones you see in some Asian soups, need a different blade. Once the dough is sliced into noodles, they're laid out on trays or put on a moving conveyor belt. But they're still soft and sticky at this point. To keep them from clumping together, a thin layer of starch is sprinkled over them. Now, the noodles still aren't ready to be packed up. They're soft, kinda like fresh spaghetti. But instant noodles need to last a long time on store shelves, and to do that, they have to be cooked and dried properly. The next step is steaming. The noodles are placed in a big steamer, where they are cooked using hot steam. This helps the noodles hold their shape and also adds a bit of flavor. Think of it like giving them a warm bath that gets them halfway cooked. After this, they're not raw anymore, but they're still not quite ready to eat. After steaming, the noodles go through a frying process. Now, this might sound strange, frying noodles, but this step is super important. When the noodles are quickly fried in hot oil, it takes out most of the moisture from them. That's what makes them dry and crispy, and why they can sit in your pantry for months without going bad. Not all instant noodles are fried, though. Some healthier versions skip the frying and go through air drying instead. But either way, the goal is the same. Remove water to make sure the noodles last a long time and cook quickly later. After frying or drying, the noodles are cooled down. They get rinsed with cold water and then go through a drying tunnel, where warm air helps take out the last bit of moisture. Temperature and time have to be just right, or the noodles could end up too hard, too soft, or even broken. And here's something really fun, the shaping part. You know how instant noodles usually come in a square or round block? That's not by accident. The noodles are gently folded or pressed into molds right after they've been steamed and dried. These molds give them that familiar block shape, which fits perfectly into cups, bowls, or packets. It's all part of the plan to make them easy to store, ship, and cook. So now we have the noodle blocks, and they're dry and ready. But wait, what about the flavor? That's where seasoning packets come in. The flavor packets are made from broths, spices, and sometimes even dried vegetables or meat pieces. To make these, big kettles are used to cook all the ingredients together. Things like garlic, onions, chili, soy sauce, or chicken stock. These soups are cooked until the flavor is strong and tasty. Then, they're dried out into powder or little cubes. That's what you find in those tiny packets that come with the noodles. Every brand has its own secret recipe for the seasoning. Some go for spicy, others choose sweet or salty, and some even include little oil packets for extra richness. These seasonings are what make every brand of instant noodles taste so different, even though the noodles themselves are made in mostly the same way. Once the noodles and the seasoning packets are ready, it's time to package everything. Each block of noodles is placed inside a packet or cup, and the flavor packets are added in too. Then, machines seal the packages tightly to keep air and moisture out. That way, the noodles stay fresh for a long time, even months. The packaging isn't just for looks. It also plays a big role in keeping your food safe. Most instant noodle wrappers are made with special materials, like aluminum foil on the inside, to block out light, water, and tiny germs. Some packages are even strong enough to double as bowls. That's why you can just pour hot water right into the cup, wait a few minutes, and enjoy your meal. Before the packages are shipped to stores, there's one more important step: quality testing. Every batch of noodles goes through a series of checks. Workers and machines look at the noodles to make sure they're not broken or burnt. They also check if the flavor is just right. Yup. There are special taste testers who eat the noodles and make sure they're yummy. If anything is off, like the noodles are too salty, too mushy, or not cooked properly, those batches are thrown away or sent back for fixing. Only the best noodles make it into the packages you see in the store. But not everyone agrees on instant noodles. Some people say they're too high in salt or have unhealthy oils. That's why many companies are now trying to make their noodles healthier. Some have less sodium, others are baked instead of fried, or made with whole grain or gluten-free ingredients. This helps more people enjoy them without worrying as much about health. Even though they're easy and quick to make, instant noodles have gone through years of changes. What started as a simple idea to feed hungry people after a war has turned into a global meal that people enjoy from Tokyo to Texas. And here's something fun to think about. Even astronauts have eaten instant noodles in space. Special versions were made that work in zero gravity, so the noodles don't float away. Cool, right? So, next time you tear open a pack of instant noodles and add hot water, remember? You're not just having a snack. You're eating something that took smart thinking, science, and a whole lot of teamwork to create. From flour and water to steaming, cutting, drying, and seasoning. It's all part of a big story behind that little bowl of noodles. And if you enjoyed learning how instant noodles are made, there's even more food magic to explore. Check out the video on your screen to learn how chocolate is made from cocoa beans. It's another tasty story you won't want to miss. Don't forget to like this video if you had fun watching, and share it with your friends or anyone who's ever slurped a bowl of noodles. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next delicious adventure. Thanks for watching.